What's going on? We are back with another hit from the No Frillz podcast, the continuation of the Chronicles of the Triforce Game Master. Now, if you have not seen the first two chapters, make sure you go check YouTube. That will be episode 54 and 55. This one right here is going to be 56. They're fire. There's straight grassroots in there. No freaking filler, no bullshit. Just real shit. That's how we do here on the No Frillz podcast, of course. I'm half of the host, Chris Mitchell, the people's commentator, and across from me is my bro, my buddy, my BFF.
IFCYipeS, man. And listen, it's another beautiful day here at the No Frillz podcast. Obviously, we're doing this, I don't even know how many chapters at this point, because Triforce is going to have the floor, and whenever he's done speaking, it's when we're finished. Absolutely. And we're just going to keep it just as simple as that. So, Triforce, how the hell are you?
It's a beautiful morning. It's a nice sunny morning here in Jamaica. It's forever summer here. 90 degrees every day.
Oh,
this shit is crazy. Yeah. You get used to it though, but it is crazy. Well, when you're in Dominican Republic, it's the same thing. It's always hot.
Hold on, but you see the skin radiating from the vitamin D from being out there in the sun?
That melanin is crazy. He's glowing.
Yeah, it's a difference when you're out there, man, in the motherland. It's a difference.
The sun is a different sun over here. Like there's no aluminum in the sky. There's no planes flying over doing all that dumb shit. But yeah.
All you see is raw sky and sun. And sun. Damn.
Raw sky and sun. Like it's crazy. Like I've gone to Ghana, and that's in a later chapter. But the sun in Africa is a different sun. Like it makes Jamaica sun. Okay, the sun in Jamaica is Escanor 1 minute before noon. The sun in Africa is the one. That's all I have to say. I'm like, yo, why is this sun acting like this? It is ridiculous.
Yo, guys, I'm telling you now, if you're not up on this chapter, on this little mini series we got going on here, y'all need to get on it. It's entertaining. I actually rewatched both episodes in full because it was that entertaining, and I was right here, front row seat. So something I did do this morning, Triforce, and I definitely recommend that people go check this out. So I actually went and watched Triforce Game Master Explains the Legend of Zelda Order of Time.
Oh, you saw that? Oh, okay.
That was actually fire. My man had all the games laid out on the floor in timeline order and broke the shit down with great references. That was fire. I did not play all the Zelda games. I probably played 2 or 3. Not because I didn't like them, but it just happened like that. Yeah.
Wind Waker was the last one for me, man.
But I do enjoy the Zelda games a lot. And when he broke down the timeline and everything, I was in there like, I'm like, good shit.
The convergence.
Okay, that shit made me want to go play all of them, then watch it again so I can understand the timeline. So that was good shit to you. That was some good ass shit.
And I want to put something out there well, you can put the video in the description if you want so people can take a look at it. But there's something I want to mention regarding that timeline. Is because people go, everything is a timeline theory. Nintendo created their own version of the timeline, which the truth of the matter is, based on Nintendo, they were never intending to make a timeline. Never. Nintendo never wanted it to be a timeline. I remember the interview with Miyamoto in EGM and Nintendo Magazine. I think they asked Miyamoto, are the Zelda games connected? And he was like, no, they're supposed to be each different individual standing stories of each of the different characters. The only timeline game that ever connected was The Legend of Zelda and Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link. That literally takes place right after. It's supposed to, those are like two connecting games. But Link's Awakening, then Zelda 3, the Link to the Past, and then Zelda Ocarina of Time, they're all supposed to be separate. But then the community was like guys like me were looking in the game and looking for archaeological geological, historical references in the game that reference to the other game. I was like, wait a minute, is this the descendant of whatever? And the fans start putting together the timeline themselves. Then when they made Wind Waker, and you go into the Palace of the Gods, and you go down there, they reference Ocarina of Time in a different timeline being stuck. People connected that to 64, and then everyone's like, wait a minute, you know something? There is a timeline here. And then Nintendo just say, hey, listen, we'll just keep referencing some of the games and stuff like that, because people start to like it, until it got to a point where people was like, wait a minute, there is a timeline. But so what I'm trying to tell people is that there actually isn't a timeline. But over the years, Nintendo built a timeline. So you know how like you're supposed to have a Bible, like a canon, everything is already written, and then you give it out to people in pieces, and you know, oh, so there was an established timeline there before. There was never an established timeline. The Nintendo just built it over time. So now you have theories from people. What is the timeline? And Nintendo had allowed a company to create Hyrule Historia, or the book. That timeline is wrong. I'm just going to let you know that timeline is very confusing. And the people go, Triforce, why do you say the timeline is confusing? And the problem here is this. Timelines have time theories. And you have to pick a time theory in which you are basing your timeline on. No one is picking the theory. Everyone's just saying, this is what I think it is. And I'm like, okay, theoretically, no, in a sense, that is a theory. It's your theory, but your theory has no timeline theory to it. So like, are you using quantum physics in time? Are you using the time stream? Because there's like names for these things. So what I did, I went and found another video game that used a time reference, The Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. Well, I used the entire series. And in it, Kain explains to you, yeah, that entire series is godlike, from Blood Omen all the way to Defiance and the rest. They use the time stream theory. The time stream theory is like, think of it like nature. The beginning of time is the sky. Water drops down, descends, and hits a mountain. It trickles down from a mountain. There will be many cracks and creeks, rivers, and streams that the water breaks into, that goes into ponds. But they all lead to the end, which is the ocean. So you have a beginning, the sky, and the end, the ocean. Everything in between is the breaking. That's called a time stream. But they all start from the beginning, and they all eventually end at the end. So I was like, okay, so let's give
everything that has a beginning has an end.
In these other time theories, these guys have, well, this is timeline 1, timeline 2. I'm like, whoa, dogs, you can't have like, those are not timelines. Those are alternate realities. If they have their own end in its own time, that's a reality. That's not a time. In a time stream, in a timeline, it doesn't matter what. Whoever you are, you begin here, you end here. When you get to the end, that's your reality. That's it. That's just that. There's nothing else to it. So it's like, think about Dragon Ball. Future Trunks he comes from an alternate timeline and reality, period. He's not from the Dragon Ball Z main timeline and reality. That's why they go, oh, that's a different future. That's why there's a different Trunks in each of the different, realities or whatever the case may be. So I explain all of that in the video. I used a reference, the divergence in time, the convergence in time, and how it keeps going on. But I don't want this to turn into like a distraction like we did in the Scottie Pippen debate. So yeah.
It was fun. Oh.
Yeah, I know it was.
Talk about it. That's a lot of that shit was fire though, but we already know.
I said to myself, listen, for the remainder of these 8 pieces to the Triforce, I'm going to focus on what we're going to talk about. Something for the No Frill podcast fans, haters, and supporters alike of me and the Empire. Please, when you guys watch these No Frills, because we're on chapter 3 out of 8. Leave your comments in the description. Believe it or not, I'm reading you guys' comments. Haters out there, if you have a story, false or true, it doesn't matter. If you want to try to hate at me, drop your story in there. I will drag your story into the next chapter, debunk that shit, body that shit on live here on the No Frills podcast. Like the guy who talked about Ben Fong, we're gonna talk about that today. today. So yeah, I'm just letting you know, right? If you got some sort, I can't remember every single thing. I just remember the majority of the stories. But if you're somebody that I don't know, former member of EMP that I probably forget, I cannot remember all of you guys. Like literally, we had over 100 plus, going on 200 something members in EMP. Like, drop your comments. Triforce, remember me? Like, so I thought some guy said something about Frankie, and I was like, oh, I remember. Remember Third Strike Frankie from Chinatown?
Yeah.
That's Frankie.
Yeah, people, but people don't know that Frankie was EMP. People don't know that. So, you know, there's people I wanna be able to mention. I don't want to forget them. Dragon God, Super Joe. There's a lot of dudes that I want to give props to, and we got 6 more chapters to go through. So remember, what's it? Matrix, you're blurry. Okay, there you go. So, like, leave your comments in. If you got a story that you want me to go over, leave it. I'll read your comments. I'll even answer some of you guys in comments. I've actually already done that. So let's get this started. Where did we last leave off?
So we last left off on the second Fallout.
Yeah,
from the second, the God's Ark, right? From the God's Ark. Yeah,
so I wanna take like 10, 15 minutes to just go back just a little bit to, you know, like previously on the last episode. I want to go back a little bit so we can we can just move in fluidly into the next one. So last time we left off, this was like 2012. So the first Fallout that people don't know is like when Justin went to California, and then in 2010 he ended up leaving EMP and becoming EG. It was him and Marn, and then later on it became Ricky and whatnot, and then everyone was like, EMP is done. Because we don't have Justin Wong anymore, we're pretty much finished on the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, what are y'all people talking about? Like, Justin is nice, but like, we already established the mentality. Like, everyone bleeds just like us. So, foreign or domestic, we fight all versions of terrorists and stuff. So it was like, all right, so Justin's on the other team. We gotta fight Justin. It's just like, that's just what it is. I'm like, that was the man 50 grand. But like, even Scottie Pippen battled Michael Jordan in an official basketball match and won. So it's not impossible to fight the god. It's not impossible to beat Goku, especially when you have Broly and Vegeta still on your squad. I'm like, come on. No, I ain't dissing you, Jay, but like, you can't beat both Broly and Vegeta.
I'm sorry. Not to cut you off. Yeah, Chris, I saw the look. You don't talk about it. He said, he took the sip of the water, he went. He goes, yo, I see everything. I'm sorry, I pay attention and see everything, man. All my new details in the world. I just noticed that shit, but I'm so sorry.
I'm going to talk about the Wizards.
Wizards place?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I don't care. Like, that's not my fault. Like, if Jordan wanted to go on the Wizards,
it's over.
Yeah. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. So
after 3 years, we'll be off. Hey, man.
So
moving forward. So when Justin went on the EG, we were in a situation. It's like, because we had to really like, damn, like we're gonna have to really fight against EG, and EG's team EG had a solid team. Actually, I want to say they had a solid team. They had a godlike team. Like they had Marn, they had Ricky, they had Justin. Was PR Bro was on the team as well.
They basically had EMP.
Oh well, we ain't gonna really get into that. But yeah, I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, I'm just keeping it 100% real. Like, because someone made a comment saying that in the first podcast, someone made a comment, and this is relative to what I'm talking about, that they didn't like my characterization of EG. So let me correct myself, because I guess a lot of people will misunderstand. I don't have a problem with Evil Genius, the organization, as an esports team. I support all esports team, corporate or grassroots. That's what keeps the scene going, teams. I had an issue with Alex Garfield, EG, when he ran EG and what he did to me. That's a specific thing. It's not EG's entirety. EG is a godlike esports team. EG is going to go down in the history of esports as one of the greatest esports team ever. Like, that's without question. You cannot take away from what EG did.
And
I'm
still
like,
still kicking. You know what I'm saying?
and they're still kicking. Wait, they got Sonic Fox on the squad still,
They
right?
got Sage now. Yeah, they got Sage now.
So like they got godlike players on their team. So I'm talking about Alex Garfield's tenure in EG and what he did to EMP, specifically me. This is what the entire podcast is about. So for those who are EG supporters and stuff like that, shout out to your team. I'm not talking about your team. I'm just talking about bitch ass Alex Garfield. So, and what he did to me specifically. Motherfucker stole my players. Motherfucker couldn't build his own shit. Like, oh, we need a fighting game division. We need the best players. Let's go shopping. Who we taking? Oh, who's the best team in the world? Empire Arcadia. Empire ain't the best team in the world, then why EG's taking our players? So they took a bunch of guys, and the war, the EG versus EMP wars began. This was like 2010, coming straight to about 2013, right before the second great fallout, right? So the first fallout, we had to find out, could we fight against our own guys? And it was back and forth. You know, there's times when EG would beat us. This is the funny part. A lot of people would think like EMP would never beat EG. We'd probably only win 1 or 2 fluke games here and there. But the history, and this is what I like, this is the only thing, it was a blessing and a curse at the same time. Evil Genius, if you look at the Chinatown documentary, and they were dissing EMP. Justin's now with a legitimate esports team. So that's just say Empire Arcadia is an illegitimate esports team, right? And this is what I like about grassroots, right? By taking Justin Marn, PR Balrog, Ricky, and those guys and putting them on Evil Genius. If Empire Arcadia's credibility and as an esports team, or our accolades as an esports team was ever questioned, now was that time to prove that's a real esports team. Let's see you beat up them. It's in a sense, it's like what Sanford had said to me, when you go out there and you win like me, but now this was towards Empire Arcadia as an organization. You're like, yeah, you beat up on the fighting game community from 2003 all the way to 2009, but now a real esports team has entered the fray. New challenge has appeared. Let's see, and this is us perfecting throughout the game. So we just finished beating Bison, and now it's Shin Akuma. So now we gotta see, can we beat Shin Akuma? And from 2010 to 2013, believe it or not, you guys are gonna sit there as a lie, but there's a reason why that Guinness record stands over there in the background. I made sure to document every tournament win, every championship major Empire Arcadia win, and literally, every Evo we won against EG. In Evo, we're 1-1. We're 1-1 in Evos, because they beat, EG beat EMP in the Marvel Flocker. 2010, yeah.
That's 2013.
No.
2010.
Marvel 2.
Oh yeah, that Justin won 2010.
Oh shit, we're fucking Sanford.
Yeah. So they won that. That was the first Evo, right? I don't know if there was an EG that played in Super Turbo, but I'm only counting finals. EMP member finals, like EMP versus EG for the championship. Not, if EG's in the tournament or whatever the case may be. I want to, it has to be the finals, right? And in 2013, Flocker versus Justin. And everyone go, he's VXG. And we're going to talk about that today.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, no.
Oh, yeah.
VXG is just a sponsor. Like, they're not an esports team. They sponsored the Empire Arcadia esports team. And Flocker was EMP. So we're 1-1. But in the majors, I don't want to put the numbers out there, but EMP has won more than 65% of our tournaments versus EG. So we up. I'm just saying that. Big shout outs to guys like Yipes, Dominion, Jago, what's his name? Sanford, Jerron. I'm like, cause when there's especially Kramer for sure. The team tournaments, those are the best tournaments to win. The actual 3v3 teams, those are the best ones to win. So we have wins in NEC. I don't know if down to even the locals, next level battle circuit. Sanford had showed me a video. So Justin had just came back to New York, and I was standing by. This was Justin versus Sanford. I think it was a rematch or the first match. No, it was a rematch after Apex. It's when Sanford had beat, remember in Apex 2014, I think it was. Was it 2014 or 2013? I forgot which Apex it was. But Team EMP was in the finals and Team EG was in the finals. Mike Ross was on the mic and he was like, yo, the grand final, no, the top 8 was EG versus EMP, literally at Apex. There, EG had Ricky, Justin, was Balrog in the top 8? I don't know if PR Balrog is in the top 8.
Flow.
It could have been Flow or PR Balrog, but I know in the top 4 it came down to Dominion and Sanford versus Ricky and Justin in the top 4, and this shit was of epic proportions, B, because everyone was like, Sanford was on his Oni shit right now. Sanford was like, okay, you got Shin Bison? Well, I am Oni, power made flesh. And the nigga just walked in like this. And yo, everyone knew, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? He's gonna set him up. Rage the demon. I was like, ah! Yo, outside, I was like, but inside of me, I was breaking shit. If I was in a house, I was throwing shit across. I was like, because it's not enough for Sanford to win. That's not important. It's about making a statement. It was about making a statement. Not winning wasn't enough. We have to rage and demon. We have to let you know, yo, you my brother for life, but you on the opposite team. And a message has to be sent here. So when he rage and demon him, yo, Ski Sonic's face, if you look, go back to the Apex, I don't know if it's 2014 or 2013, whichever one. Go back to that tournament. Look at there are people's faces that's like, what's happening here? Like people was like, they were mindfucked, like, what's happening here? How's EMP still fighting? So we were able to prove, and that doesn't mean that EG didn't whoop our ass. Like there's many tournaments that we lost to EG. I'm just saying we up. That's all I'm saying. We up, and we got a chip off of beating EG. So if there was ever anyone questioning the validity of EMP's ability as an esports team versus pros, well, we've proven ourselves. And well, in fighting games anyway. Actually,
I'm sorry. You know what? I just thought about something here. Hey, that's execution really matters, man. Fucking Justin should have won that shit, bro. He literally got a typhoon at the end. Can you remember that shit?
Yes.
Chris, you remember that shit? Yeah, I was so fucking mindfucked when I seen that. I was like, yo, that don't take nothing away from what you're saying. It's just when you talking about the actual tournaments, it just puts me back in the place. Yeah. Flacco was done. He had him in the infinite, and like for the knockdown, I think he got the typhoon by mistake.
Yeah, that was
literally died for it. Literally lost his whole shit,
bro. And mind you, I'm commentating the match, so I'm like fucking shocked that happened at that moment. But the vengeance was ill though, because Justin won the next year, so that was pretty cool. Redemption.
Yeah, was there. He got his. He got it. Wait, he won. Oh, Chris G won the year after Justin.
Yes.
Yeah. I think
he won the year after Justin. So yeah, Justin came back and he won the following Evo, and then Chris G won the following year. But sometimes when he, believe it or not, so I'm gonna admit something to Justin. When Justin had him in the combo, I literally said, God, I usually don't ask you for a lot. I actually don't, I'm a man of meager means. You know, I'm just asking. It's just this one evil. Don't matter if we don't win any other evils afterwards, but this one is matter. Like this is for the chips. It's EMP. So can you please? Food. And I was like, please touch him. Just touch him. Reach out, Flocker. Just touch him. And Flocker just touched him, and I was like, kill him. So I was. So yeah, just no offense, but yeah, the forces. God came down and said, "Sorry, my son. Not this time. Next year."
Oh gosh.
So the war between EG, the war between EG and EMP for those 4 years was actually good for the fighting game community. And some people will disagree, but there's something. If I get out of the whole EMP thing and stop dick sucking my own team, I looked at what it did, because when you saw the EMP versus EG was like Bulls versus Knicks, Celtics versus Lakers. That's literally what it was. You had your first true rivaling teams of super teams, so to speak. Two super, because EMP versus the fighting game community prior to that was USA Dream Team versus the NBA. This is bullshit. No offense, FGC. I'm not, look, y'all probably take offense to that.
I had a laugh.
2003 to 2009, tell me what I'm lying. Like,
no, you're not. It's the way that you broke it down. It was ill.
Yes, we're just whooping everyone's ass. I'm like, you had a couple of people try to come create a team and come up and try to put EMP, but the shit was just getting washed. You had what was it? Oh my goodness, what was the name of the?
I can't even remember none of them. Oh, Shazam! That was karma. This is Shazam! He said, "What is it? What's the other team?"
We're gonna let it rock too. Ooh, no edits.
Sorry about that. Yeah,
yo, my man said Shazam! Wait,
where's my turn on camera?
Okay, turn that
sorry
shit
about
on.
that. I was like, that was not an internet issue, just to let you know, because it was still running. It's just that the whole program shut down, and I was like, the hell? Okay, so, but yeah.
No edits. That was
edits.
That we rocking that. That's part of it.
Right.
We had to, all the other teams like DMC, Mad Cats, what was Chris G's team that he went to? Not Pelican. They changed their name from Pelican to
AGE.
Yeah, AGE. Those teams were good teams, but they weren't fucking with the Empire. And that's no offense to them. Just keep it. Look at the stats. The stats tells you everything. Just wasn't fucking with the Empire. But EG was the first esports team in the FGC that was like, we can fight the Empire. Although people would say, well, that's because it's just the Empire on another team. Like, that's literally what it was. In the FGC anyway. In the FGC, not throughout all of EG as an esports team. So for us, it was good because we felt that this would give other entities who are looking to invest in the FGC the inspiration to say, I want to create my own team. Let me go look for talent. Can you imagine if players like, and I'm talking about the players at who they are now, like IDOM and what's this guy's name? Sonic Fox, Shine, and these type of players. Imagine if they were at the level that they are now, back then, and they all spawned and made their other team. The fighting game community would have been greater than what it was. And it was godlike back then, but it would have been greater than what it was. So when EG did that, even though it was like a blessing and a curse, because the blessing was it was helping to evolve the FGC as an esports scene even further. The curse was at the expense of EMP losing its players. It's like the antitrust company came in and said, okay, Empire, we're gonna have to break up this Facebook monopoly, antitrust laws. So you guys, you go over there, and Triforce, you can keep these guys. And so now we have a good, fair competition going on, and we had the back and forth going on, and so forth, until other guys started making a team. It even made James Fink, shout out to the OBS boys. They's like, yo, we gonna make our own team. And then Korn, oh man, Korn. We're gonna get into this topic about Korn. There's something I want to put this shit, E-file, I want to put on record here on the No Frills. Korn versus EMP, right? The almost black on black crime. So they, when I saw that and then the other team started coming into fruition, I was like, this is actually good. It was an actual good thing for the entire scene. I'm just disappointed that after all of this community and industry building, let's say we go back, wait, when did this happen? When did the whole 2020? Oh, wow. So after 20 years of building up the scene, these guys destroyed the scene in one summer. One summer, the whole scene ended in summer. That's crazy. 2020 will be reminded. This shit will probably go up in ESPN 30 for 30, like 10 years from now, when they talk about the fighting game communities, roots and shit like that. And on the infamous summer of 2020, the Me Too movement hit the fighting game community and decimated it. That shit got earthed, instantly earthed. But when let's get into the Korn situation. So there was a point in time when the fighting game community was trying to get Korn to literally get into actual beef with EMP. And I was like, I had to call Adonis. I vividly remember, because Yipes, you were in the car with the CD brothers. We were coming back from Canada when you guys pretty much bodied Canada. What year was that? It was you.
That was 2013.
13. Core was, oh, yeah, shout out to Core.
Core was in the car, yeah. Damn, that was throwback. You seen him recently? He buffer than a motherfucker.
Are you in the gym like that? Damn.
He buffered. Yo, everybody like leveled up, man. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people that you've seen on a consistent basis when you was in America that you see them now. You'd be like, holy shit. Oh, yeah. A lot of people like step their shit up. Sure.
I gotta get into the gym.
Man had the open hand.
I gotta get in the gym. But there's a lot of people that's been in the EMP. It's crazy. From Fighting GM, big shout outs to Fab, the game, damn, Empire had a godlike Tekken team. I just thought about that. Like, we actually had a solid Tekken team. A real good Tekken team, actually. Not even a real freaking good Tekken team. But like that year, so it was me, you, Kraymore, CD Jr. Big shout outs to the CD brothers, Max, Maxter,
CD Prime
Jr. Yeah. And we were all on our way back, coming from Canada after winning a couple of the championships in Canada. And something went on online, and people was like, they want to see EMP versus Korn. And they want to see an actual match. And Korn started talking some shit. So I hit up Korn literally on the phone. I said, Adonis, listen, this would be great for EMP to compete against another esports team. But that's not the narrative that's being set up right now. The narrative that's being set up right now, and pardon my language, I need to say it in this manner so people can get the context. Dudes just want to see two black teams turn niggas against each other. It had nothing to do with the esports. If it was like Team Empire Arcadia versus Team Korn, then I'll be fine. Then they're like, oh, this will be a great competition. But they know how rowdy Korn was. And I told Korn, the way EMP is at that time now, EMP had, I don't want to say evolved, because then that disrespects our origin and our roots. But we had adapted to the changing of the scene. Because remember, Capcom Nationals was the turning point for the FGC. That was the big turning point for the FGC, the Capcom Nationals. So everything before the Capcom Nationals was an era of the FGC. After the Capcom Nationals, there was a huge change in it. And then I don't even know when the third changing point was for the FGC, but I guess it's going to be Sony now. This is the new changing point after Sony is going to fail like probably one more Evo. And so for those who ever wondering, Trifles, what do you think is going to happen? The suits won. They're going to have their, what do you call this again? Their trouble years. I forgot the line. There's an actual phrase for it. But they're going to have their trouble years. Last year, well, they took it over at the beginning of the year. This year's Evo was absolute tragic nonsense. You're probably going to get 1 or 2 more Evos of absolute garbage, and then Sony is going to get the shit popping after that. But like the Suits actually won, and we'll have a whole Suits chapter later on. I'll talk about that shit later. But when the Capcom changed everything, the way EMP was in 2013, we could not be the EMP back then for several reasons. Yipes was doing his thing with Broken Tier. So Yipes had to, for the market Broken Tier was going after or trying to develop, Yipes had to be a certain way. So it's like how people, oh my God, you guys are selling out. And like a lot of you guys are talking about sellouts. Please go back and finish school. That's nothing to do with sellouts. There are different markets. For instance, the Yipes on the No Frillz can't be the Yipes when he's commentating Dragon Ball for Bandai Namco. What are you, fucking stupid? I'm like, you're an idiot. One is more laid back community grassroots and we can shoot the shit at, like, for instance, anybody who knows me, look at any of my professional interviews. Triforce doing an interview with Reggie Fils-Aimé at the Nintendo line. I'm not gonna be like, yo, what up, my nigga Reggie? Oh, you from Haiti? Yo, my nigga, I got that new shit. No, like, what are you, stupid? Like, I cannot do that. I mean, the audiences, there are kids that's watching. They're like, there's a time and a place for everything. So it has nothing to do with anyone selling out. It is, this is what professionalism is. Professionalism is knowing a time and a place for your behavior on how you conduct business. So if you in the streets and you see, yo, Trey Dog, my nigga, what up? Yo, you got that pack for me? Yeah, okay, that's how drug dealers deal with business. When you're in the other drug dealing industry, like the pharmaceutical industry, hello, Mr. Fauci. Yes, so you got the Torfine 6.9 ready? Yes, we do. So I'll allow you to introduce you to my marketing director. It's just lingo, that's it, and language and behavior. They're both doing business in drugs. One is illegal, one is questionable. I thought I was gonna say legal. One is questionable, but either way, they're doing business and they're doing it within the language that they do it in at the time and the place. That is what being a professional is. So I know the time to be professional and I know when not to be professional. The same thing with Matrix, the same thing with Yipes, that these guys have developed as professionals over the time. That's why they have their own brands. Justin has his own brand with the J1 thing that he's doing. A lot of guys have their own brands now because these guys grew up from 2003 going throughout the fighting game community and they watched the fighting game community evolve and make changes and they adapted to the changes.
To be honest, the biggest change for me was when I started seeing more kids getting involved. And then I started seeing like my nieces was like following my work and stuff like that. That's what really like made me realize. That's what really changed it for me. So to be honest, just to be clear, I feel like I could be myself no matter what. Obviously, there's a time and place, just like you said, but the core me will never go away. You know what I mean? But in terms of
the core you hasn't gone away.
You know, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm just speaking in general. Like I'm not disagreeing with you or nothing. But what literally made that shift even more is because kids started watching and like started getting involved. Like I started seeing parents bringing their kids to play in these tournaments. You know what I'm saying? When I started seeing that, I was like, oh man, I gotta like fix my act up. Ain't really changed how I really look, whatever it is. Yeah, I'm cleaner now, but I'm just more presentable in the sense that people could relate to me. You know what I mean?
You have to present yourself. A niche community and the general audience are two different things. You have to present yourself a certain way. The people in the general audience have no background of you, no cultural understanding, no nothing. So you have to create or adapt to a general image and language that people can understand. That's just how it is. For instance, the uniform language of the world is English. Some people argue and say it's Mandarin, but I don't necessarily think so. It's really English. Or people say Spanish as well, but it's really English. I'm like, that's just what it is. So if you are from a Spanish-speaking country, you're from an African-speaking country, or you're from an Asian-speaking country, guess what all those countries have in common? They all know English. English-speaking countries don't know everyone else. But everyone knows English. It's Spanish and English, it's Asian and English, and I don't mean to say like Asian, I just don't want to use the word Oriental because in this day and age, Oriental is kind of an insult. I don't understand. Back in the 90s, it wasn't, but whatever. So you have Asian and whatever, and then you have European. Well, that's like if you speak German or Russian or whatever the case may be. But everyone has English plus their language, or actually their language plus English. Sorry about that. So down here in Jamaica, we have Patois, which is like a mixture of everything. And then we can also speak proper English as well. Sorry, let me not use that word proper. Some people down here in Jamaica get upset when we use the word proper because it creates the wrong connotation. Standard English, let me say that. Because when you say proper English, they say, so what you're trying to say, I'm speaking bad English, and that's not the case. It's standard English. So we have to present ourselves a certain way. And because of that, the way Korn was coming into the scene was like the old FGC era, while EMP was in the new FGC era. And I was like, I don't mind competing with Korn as long as we keep it in the modern FGC era. But Korn was like, nah, B, fuck that shit, nigga. We can't, we who we are. I'm like, I know. But when we go to competitions, we're gonna have to tone that down in order for people to digest what we're doing. I'm like, on the side, we can do whatever. But like, if you don't, I said, one of the biggest issues, and yes, I'm gonna put this out there. I told Adonis and all caps, you have to change the N. Real talk. I just told him, you gotta get rid of nigga. You gotta take nigga out of Korn. Coalition of the real Negroes. I said, use Negro. Coalition of the real ninjas. Something, but you cannot use nigga. If you use nigga, I can't endorse competing against you, because what we're doing here is the two black teams are endorsing the narrative of, look at them niggas over there. And I literally told him that, and he's like, but Triforce, I can't do that. I'll be betraying the people. I'm like, betraying who? Like, you're not betraying anyone. I'm like, in fact, you'd be doing your team a service. The people on the outside already looking in, they already, that's why when shit gets stolen in tournaments, yo, we lost this TV, it's Korn. Dead ass? Like, that in itself is racist.
That shit was actually getting out of hand, for real.
Like, you just blamed Korn? Why? That's right. Because they're the coalition of the real niggas. And that's what I was trying to prove. Like there's an underlining, like on the low, racial disparaging against Korn. And I was like, that's why you got to change the end. Because when you sit there and you like coalition of the real niggas, for black people, it means coalition of the real gamers, the real people. That's all it means. It's like, what coalition of the real niggas mean, we're real people. We're not going to give you no bullshit. It don't mean like niggas, like in the street, gun toting, raping and killing and murdering and selling drugs. No, not those type of niggas. We're not talking about them. But that's how people low-key think of them. And then go, nah, we don't think of you like that. Fuck out of here. Who you bullshitting? So that's when I told her, and Adonis is like, nah, I can't change that. So I said, we'll just have to compete when we see each other at competitions, but the normal, robust hype that we do behind it, we're not going to get into it. Because I know our people. I just know our people. And if we're talking, a lot of the stuff Korn does, they do that to certain members in EMP, we're gonna be like, yo, you're gonna have to relax. Who the fuck you telling? There we go. And that's what everyone was waiting for. Can you imagine someone in Korn playing Red in Tekken? Fuck up, nigga. Fuck up. Suck my dick, nigga. That's Red's gonna raise up, and then and I'm like, I already see that happen. I'm like, nah, you're not gonna set us up. And I told Adonis, it's no beef. It's not like we have an issue with you, but I see the setup. And I told him, let's just keep it. If we bunked up into each other in tournaments, in a bracket or whatever, and it's Korn versus EMP, it is what it is. But we're gonna keep our shit talking to a minimum, if nothing, because I am not gonna give seed to that nonsense and whatnot. And that's some real shit that I never told anybody. Yipes was in the car when I'm talking to Adonis on the phone. I'm like, they're just trying to set us up. They want it. That's what I mean by black on black crime. They just want to see that happen. So because bad enough EMP already got a bad reputation, they want to give Korn a bad reputation. Then later on, when I leave and I go to Jamaica, I'm in Jamaica listening to the fucked up shit they're saying about Korn. And I said, see, I knew it. I was like, they was trying to set up Adonis in all caps. That's all that was. I'm like, then you had Asian guys coming into the scene. That was, Seth was on his team and whatnot. And I'm like, damn, like Seth is Asian, right? And this is unspoken in the FGC. So like the N-word pass is given to all in the FGC if you are a part of the culture and the scene, because the FGC understands what you mean. We don't take it like, and I don't want to put no names out there because I don't want to be like, oh, Travis, why you said my name or whatever. So I'm just gonna just blanket this one because I don't want anyone to be felt like I'm trying to say something. Every single ethnic group in the FGC has used the N-word. Everyone has used the N-word, but there's never been a racial crime in the FGC because Africans in the FGC, we just like, they don't mean it in that. This is the lingo. This is how we talk. They grew up in the arcades. They've seen dudes, yo, I got next. Yo, my man, you moved my quarter. Nigga, what's really good? Dumping that. They've seen or they grew into that. So everyone has used the N-word. I'm like, now everybody got to watch what they say because we're in this day. So like white guys and Asian guys or whoever I liked before who used to say it, like, nah, I can't say it because I don't want someone says, oh, this person said the N-word. Like when certain YouTube creators say the N-word, like when Maximilian said the N-word, I was like, all right, guys, yeah, I know Maximilian's white, but come on, man, like, he been in this scene. Did he really use it with the intent of race, like to? But I'm like, damn. So now that the fighting game community is cleaned up now, so he can't accidentally slip the word. This is what it is, and if he does, he's racist. He's Hitler type racist. Like, damn, this is what we get. He back to Nixon type racist. I'm like, and then people, oh, what are you picking up a white man try for us? I'm like, yo, dog, it's like 10 years ago, nobody said nothing. If Maximilian had said nigga 10 years ago, we just like, what up? Like, we walk up to white guys in the community, my nigga, what up? What up, nigga? We doing? Yo, you in China? Like, yeah. And that was the FGC. Was. Now, I understand the new scene, we have to change stuff like that. And actually, as I'm older now, it's for the better. It's actually for the better. Because then you don't have these problems or whatever the case may be. But that was a reason why I had to like do that thing with Korn. I was like, nah, let's just keep it whatever. I believe that if Korn had changed the coalition of the real Negroes, Korn versus EMP would have probably been the most epic shit in the history of the FGC. You talk about hype, this shit, they would have just needed a good Marvel play. That's all. That's all they needed. If they would have gotten one good Marvel player, we could have reenacted 2006. This shit would have been bonkers.
No, they had some killers. They had JDM at the time. They had JDM, Footwork. Footwork was cool. You know what I'm saying? There was
but there were Marvel 3 players.
Huh?
I was talking about Marvel 2.
Oh, you said Marvel 2 players.
Yeah,
Okay.
If they had a Marvel 2 player, because what would have happened, it would have created a resurrection. It would have been 3 god tier teams. It would have been you and Sanford on EMP, Justin and Ricky or Marn on EG, and then whoever on Korn. I'm like, but then we had Marvel 3. I guess it was just as good. No, it wasn't just as good. Let me stop. They had good players, but we couldn't recreate that 2006 magic. Like, you can't recreate that, unfortunately. Like, do you guys know another time out, Sanford versus Duck? Do you know another moment like that in Evo?
No. Well, not that epic. I was gonna say
there are epic moments. Don't get me wrong. There are epic moments in Evo.
No, like that's comparison to Duck and Sanford, like in terms of that magnitude.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. No, I don't think so.
We divided with East Coast and West Coast.
So,
Crazy.
what I was gonna say, it's not even close, but it was dope when they did Choi and Justin. That was cool. But the thing that threw it off was we was expecting Valle versus Justin. That was the original one. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think that would have been epic as fuck. You know what I'm saying? But Choi and Justin was good too. So, but I get what you're saying. Though. In terms of the magnitude, no comparison to Sanford and Duck.
The only other one that I can possibly think of that was even remotely close, obviously it wasn't 2006. I'm talking about WWE crowd bumping was that was an NEC, right?
You talking about Sanford calls out Justin?
Sanford versus Aqua Silk, PR Ballroom, Justin.
Yeah.
That like after Aqua Silk. And then he turned around, Sanford turned around, was like, I was like, oh shit. When the people, the crowd, and then you see Sherry Jennings in the background, she's like, give me the stick. She's like, hand him the stick, get the fuck on the stage right now. That shit was godlike. And then when Sanford just beat out PR Bora, we're like, oh, that was godlike. We was done. And then Sanford turned around, and yet you saw when he pulled up his pants, that reminded me like a URL rap battle. It's like he was also murder.
I said, yo.
He's like, yo, he was on his luck shit. Like, I'm looking to body the neck, and he was standing in the screen. He was like, yo, and then everyone looked at Justin, and then Justin had that look like, you know what's so funny about Justin? Justin knew. When Sanford did that, when Sanford pointed at Justin just took down his head. He didn't even go like, me? He just said, he just put his head down like this, and just took the joystick, and everyone, man, y'all fucked up the FGC. Y'all really fucked this shit up. That I'm
gonna be honest. No. Do you know what? Let's take a step back. I don't think it messed moments up like that, dude. Because to be honest, we talk at grassroots. Because that was a grassroots moment. I mean, that was a Big E event. Big E still got hype shit like that. You know what I mean? It's just it don't happen. It's just it don't happen because there's no real rivalries how it was back in the day. So that's the problem. That's like one of like a big topic in the SGC from a lot of people that just say it out of nowhere. There ain't no real big rivalries no more when it comes to these new games. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you can relive some old shit and live in the past. Obviously, just living through other people's rivalries, right? Which is cool. That's the whole point of like putting some shit out there. But nowadays, people don't feel like that no more. Like, there is no competition. If anything, it's just more complaining than actual like rivalries. You know what I mean?
It's because like a gift and a curse, like. Most of the top players nowadays, they're actually working together to get better. You know what I mean? Like, it's a gift and a curse. Like they're actually working together and trying to help each other and get better. So,
you know, I wish IDOM had like a Bronx attitude. I just wish IDOM just had a. IDOM's too nice.
That boy humble, man.
That boy humble. You know what though?
Punk is a terrific personality.
I'm gonna tell you. I was just about to get to that. Little shout out to Punk. That's my guy, man. Punk is the alpha. In his mind, he is the alpha. He's better than everybody. You know what I mean? And that's not even like a fucking a gimmick. Like, that's how he feel. Obviously, there's certain games where he knows his place. Like, I'm gonna stay in my crate. You know what I mean? I can't fuck with this guy. Right now, some shit in Melty Blood. I remember we was at a tournament. It's called the Pinnacle. Shout outs to the Gaming Stadium. They did an event over in Vancouver in a convention, and Punk just entered Melty Blood. The game is like, I think I'm gonna have to say like almost a month old, almost like probably not even like 2 weeks in. But you already had monsters and killers from like the previous game. So like, you know, Punk plays his games, whatever the case is. He already knew bumping into a certain guy or seeing his name in the bracket, he was like, yo, I'm getting washed. Like, I know I'm getting washed. Like, it's one of those things. But all in all, back to what I was saying, you know, in his mind, it stays the alpha. And then you had that one guy who he was washing previous in NLBCs in season 2. And then when they started meeting up in like big events, like majors and shit like that, that's when IDOM started getting to him. And that's when you really started seeing the hunger between them two. Even though IDOM don't say nothing, but in his gameplay and the way he feels after a loss to Punk, you could tell that the rivalry's there. Is that what he wants? No, but I know he wants to win. You feel what I'm saying? So it's still there. It's just the energy projected, it's not there no more. It's not there no more, right?
This is a context now. See,
for now, I would say
what we see in the actually, Punk was in a situation. What was it with Strider? Who like Punk had an argument with someone and shit went all over the internet. Who was talking
It was 801 It was 801 Strider.
It was Strider. Like I was like, okay, this is what I don't understand. Where was the back in our era? You would have some type of, let's call them a field agents. They see that shit talking, yo, Punk talking mad shit. Next one, you know who was like that? Fuji. Yo, this guy's talking mad shit. Seasons beatings. What's really good? We stacking up on the table. Y'all can battle it out. Where are these biggies like the last? Where are the rest of these guys? The FGC needs pay-per-view. The FGC mirrors more like WWE, UFC than anything else.
I mean, social media is responsible for it too, because look, it's easy to get in contact with somebody and talk about, hey man, like what was the problem? Like that you didn't feel me playing you in this 2 out of 3, that you hating me, whatever the case is. Because you got to understand, in that era, shout out to Fuji, we didn't have social media like that. We had shoryuka.com. That shit was a bunch of freaking FGCers from the arcade talking smack. So that was like already part of it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't nothing crazy, but like we don't got that type of stuff no more where people go message was. Now, granted, there is Facebook and shit like that right now. Like people could just talk shit, but like people could just clear it out. Back in those days, you ain't really get it cleared out. Like I held the L, I had to hold that shit for like a year till I seen a motherfucker again. You know what I mean? Or some shit like that. That's how it builds up, because the heat in between for that weight is what scorches all that shit. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like for example, with Sanford and Duck, I mean that shit simmered as soon as Sanford lost. You know what I mean? So that's how that shit went straight into the exhibition. But reason why it happened so organically is we're not gonna have another opportunity like that. Duck ain't gonna go to the fucking to the East Coast. You know what I mean? Sanford wasn't even going to the West Coast to begin with. Granted, he was posted there at one time. You feel me? But like it's just not gonna happen. So like right then and there, that's when shit really popped. But that's how organic shit was back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that it's not like that now, but a lot of shit is fabricated. Yes. A lot of people do set up shit. Like, hey, man, how about, what if we get this guy to do this guy? You know what I mean? Like, to play this guy, whatever the case is.
And hopefully, because this is all comes down to money. And the grassroots scene, it's kind of funny. The FGC crowdfunded itself. In the era. The problem we have now, which is because it's a wait, we have to wait for Sony to say, stop being a bitch, and like scared money don't make money. Sony, they need to get someone to come down into the FGC and gather the players who have stories. Yeah, right? And say, yo, we're gonna run this back with this person. You have to have a legitimate beef with the person, right? Well, beef is a wrong word. A legitimate rivalry where like you don't like that person as a competitor. You hate that motherfucker. Like not as a person, as a competitor. And you wanna bust that person's ass and put some money down on the line, get some online matches running, because you know the predicament we're in the world, people can't really go around, and start using these things to set up. The last great thing, I guess we can say this now because it never happened. So I'm gonna put this out here. This is an e-file. It's actually most certainly an e-file. Damn, I don't know. Hold on. In the chat, guys. 1 second. This is live. We're not editing this. I'm not gonna say mention the
Anticipation is crazy.
No, I know. All I see is typing.
Can I mention that? Because remember, you're involved in the Yipes, so I don't know if that would do anything. Well,
all right, it's still going down, so we're not going to speak on it. But it's not the same. It's not the same though, Chris. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about it only because we know the guy personally. So like I'm not going to just throw the business out there. You know what I mean?
See, I was assuming, the first thing I thought to my head, does he has an NDA or an agreement with the people with that?
I can't speak on it. I can't speak.
I will skip it. I'll skip it.
But just know that was supposed to happen this year. But
yeah, actually, it was supposed to happen last year.
Yeah, no, obviously that was the celebration, but it was supposed to happen this year. But we don't got to talk about it.
All right, cool.
It literally got watered down. So.
Yo,
Chris, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So
yes, I do.
It got watered down. So, but I'm actually not proud about it. But we don't got to talk about it.
Yeah, the comment section is gonna be like, "What the fuck did he type?" Yeah, you're gonna see. Watch it.
You're
gonna say, what did he type? Come on, tell us. Sorry, guys. There are agreements being made, and it's not for me to speak on. You know how I know about this, obviously through Sanford or whatever. But but it's just things were back in that era, like the grit you on a local team, because it just took just the rivalries weren't just players versus players. The rivalries was like tournaments versus tournaments. You had TOs competing business-wise in hosting their events versus other guys. And like in 2009, when we was losing Chinatown, because we couldn't use Chinatown the way we used to use it to host tournaments, I was like, yo, we need to get a battlefield in which we can compete and whatever.
We on that era? We on that?
We're in that era. That's where we at right now. That's where we at. And I'm like, yo, you know what we need? Let's create. So, but I'm gonna put it out there because I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. So, Empire Arcadia created the first local scene tournament outside of an arcade, consistently, because everything ran out of Chinatown Arcade.
Well, let's be fair here. Battlefield Arcadia was definitely one of its kind. It was unique.
Okay. And I just want to put that out there.
And we had Guard Crush. We had Guard Crush.
Yes. So I want to get into this. So for those, I don't want to not give any credit to anyone, but Seb from FADC, frameadvantage.com, he is the one who covered the first Battlefield Arcadia, and that helped blow up Battlefield Arcadia.
One sec, guys. I'm having a video issue. The video seems to be desynced to me. I'm gonna leave and come back.
Okay. We can see you. Oh,
no, but the audio's off for some reason.
Oh, I see. Go for it. Hey, it should be good.
You came back?
Talk.
Yo.
We're talking.
Okay, we good now. We good.
Yeah.
That was weird.
All right. So FADC helped put. These guys wanted to cover tournament scenes in New York, and we were at King's Games in. That's not Queens. The card place of the Yu-Gi-Oh card place games. King's Games is where? That's in Queens or Brooklyn?
No, it's Brooklyn.
No, it's by the
King's Games.
King's Games. Yeah, that's Brooklyn. Right. So yeah, we went
by King's Highway, right?
Yeah, King's Highway. There you go. Yeah. It's a King's Highway stop on it. So yeah, so we did that, and you had like when we've created Battlefield, it set the stage for a lot of things. Like literally, the local fighting game scene that you now know of now, both in the West Coast and the East Coast, literally came out of Battlefield Arcadia. Some people are gonna sit in there and argue about this shit or whatever, but because first of all, after Battlefield Arcadia, because like in the first Battlefield Arcadia, guys like Javis were the big shout outs to Javis. Javis always inventing some new shit and then telling people, shut the fuck up. Javis is a huge supporter of the East Coast. Javis would find some glitch, tell somebody in the East Coast, yo, this is what you can use in the industry. Don't leak this shit. And then obviously they leak this shit. And then like, Javis be like, this is why I don't want to tell y'all nothing, because this is why like the West Coast be fucking us up, because you guys leak shit. But big shout outs to Javis. But guys like Long Island Joe, Javis, Sanford, and a bunch of other guys, Young Shine was in there. All of those guys, FADC's Battlefield Arcadia #1, King's Highway. From there, we had to move Battlefield Arcadia to John's Place. That was a further down. And then from there, Artaro came up to me and said, yo, Triforce, this is a guy from the Melty Blood community. He streams tournaments and stuff like that, and in the small community for Melty Blood. And we want to know if he can use the same venue to run tournaments out of. And it was a blessing and a curse, another blessing and curse, because I was like, yeah, sure. I told John was like, hey, so what's going to be the situation regarding like what's working out? Like, don't you think that's a conflict of interest? And the owner but he told me like, if you let those guys run tournaments here, you'll end up eventually be competing with them. And I told John, yeah, I know. I was like, but Battlefield Arcadia is strong. If they compete and they find a way to manage to beat Battlefield Arcadia, then that's just the nature of the scene. Like it's whatever. I'm like, it's not a big deal. It's not like I'd end Battlefield Arcadia. I'd probably go find another place to go do Battlefield Arcadia from. But then Guard Crush came into play. from Battlefield Arcadia. I forgot what the West Coast created after when Spooky made Guard Crush. What did the West Coast make? Because it was Battlefield Arcadia, and that's when we were streaming the competition. Then it was Battlefield Arcadia didn't even start streaming. It was it Wednesday night? No, I don't. Wednesday night fights came around Big 2. That's when Wednesday night. I don't think Wednesday night fights was as early as Guard Crush.
You sure? Because I remember. I think this is how it went. I could be wrong. California. Y'all could fact check me, but I remember. Yeah. Oh no, that was in Marvel 3. That's from Marvel 3. This is what I was thinking. So I know Wednesday night fights they was doing when Marvel 3 came out. I seen the joints. I think it was on Level Up, right? IFCYipeS joint, and then it was Marvel 3, but they was doing it in a ballroom somewhere, like in a hotel, some shit. I don't know where it was. And then it ended up in Watson Super Arcade. I could be incorrect. You guys could let me know, but I think that was the timeline. Yes, let me know for sure.
So you had Battlefield, and then Guard Crush came into play, and then the West Coast put up their stuff. Then they turned it to the Big 2 when we went to Henry's Place, and then we moved to the new Henry's Place, and then you have Next Level Battle Circuit for what it is. Those tournaments. Oh, let's not forget. Because it's kind of funny. Shortly after Battlefield Arcadia, to put something out there, because I don't want people to. I gotta give great mention to 8 on the Break. I gotta give mention to 8 on the Breaks. Big shout outs to Chris Cotty, big shout outs to KDZ, and big shout outs to Jaxo. Those guys in fact, they were the longest running local tournament scene. Yeah. Until obviously COVID, boom, stopped everything and whatever the case may be. So they were the longest running and what else. So big shout outs to Jersey in the building and whatnot. But I added 8 on the Break. Those scenes helped stabilize the FGC literally for a decade. Because every champion you see rise in Evo comes out of one of those places. And that's not me hyper exaggerating. That's just what it was. So when Spooky created Guard Crush, I realized that I can't be scared because Battlefield Arcadia was making me money. And I was like, good, the money I can make from Battlefield Arcadia and that I split with John for the entry fee and the venue fee, I can use that and put it back into the EMP. But I was like, but Spooky, Atara's like, because Atara was in Empire at the time, and Atara was like, he wanted to let his friend in. So I was like, yeah, let him come and do his thing because we don't do those games. We'll stick to Pokemon Puzzle League and Street Fighter 4 and another game. I think we had 3 different games in there and whatnot. And then let Spooky do his type of games. Then Guard Crush started to get big. There was a silent war between Team Spooky and Empire. Well, it wasn't Team Spooky yet. It was just Spooky himself between Empire Arcadia, Guard Crush, and Battlefield because dudes this is how fucking fucked up the FGC is. Dudes is like, yo, don't go to Battlefield Arcadia anymore, man. Triforce is rigging the brackets so that Sanford could win. I'm like, what the fuck? And Sanford used to be like, dude, just think you rigging the brackets now, Triforce. I'm like, what the So I'm like, all right, I said, look, what we'll do is we'll run our Street Fighter tournament on one day and we'll have Spooky run his Street Fighter tournament on one day. And Sanford, you just enter in both of them. So we'll just see, does Sanford win in the Empire one and losing Team Spooky, or just Sanford just bust ass in both of them? And that's what Sanford was doing. He started busting ass in both of them until who came along and started giving Sanford problems at Guard Crush, which I found fucked up. They would enter
Arturo, really? Arturo?
Yeah, Arturo would douse them, yeah. They would enter, but it wasn't just Arturo. It was Arturo was Sanford's biggest rival.
Chris U was a problem too. Chris U was a problem.
But some dudes
a couple of them, yeah.
They would enter, was Aqua Silk around at that time?
Yes, but wasn't entering as much as if I remember correctly. Was entering a few of them for sure.
I felt a certain way because Battlefield Arcadia numbers were dwindling and Team Spooky's numbers were rising. And more people were going to Team Spooky's tournament because of the notion that Triforce is rigging brackets for Sanford. And I'm like, until I had to literally do random seeding to people, telling them, call a number. You call a number, I just put you in, and thank God for Challenger just had it. Random seed. And I literally had to random seed live on stream. So everyone like, we're not rigging brackets, random. And sometimes people get bucked up, like weaker players who don't want to fight Sanford, buck up into Sanford early. And I'm like, well, if I don't do it this way, you guys are going to say I'm rigging the brackets. So I can't help you. So I'm like, so it's either I seed Sanford properly and not put him to fight top players, because we're trying to get like the best of the best in the top 8, so we can have top 8 on good matches. So like, I'm not rigging brackets. Sanford, I'm gonna put you up here. Ataru, I'm gonna put you down here. I'm gonna put you in there. I'm gonna put you in the middle, and y'all fight and y'all make it to the end. Like any normal tournament bracket, you put the top players separate from yourself. You don't put Sanford right here. Sanford first.
It's called seeding.
Yeah, it's called seeding. You don't put Sanford versus Joe Bro, and then right after that match, Ataru versus Johnny Donuts. They're gonna beat their first 2 people, and then Sanford and Ataru is gonna fight second round. That's stupid. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But then, because of that, they went over to Guard Crush. Battlefield Arcadia started to dwindle down a little bit, and I had to move Battlefield Arcadia, and that's how I met up with Jaxel, and we started doing Battlefield Arcadia in the Bronx and whatnot. And then eventually I just stopped Battlefield Arcadia. No, I didn't stop Battlefield Arcadia. I brought Battlefield Arcadia to the Arc. And that's when we had the Battlefield Arcadia Invitationals. And that's when guys like PR Balrog used to come over, and the rest of the people you would never even know that we're gonna just do Battlefield Arcadia in the Arc and whatnot. And then Team Spooky, because people like, yo, Spooky infringing on your business. And I was telling people, I said, yes, that's a hit for EMP, but it's good for the East Coast, the New York FGC scene. And people don't like me, and people need to feel comfortable competing or working with or getting involved with someone they felt comfortable with. So I had to kind of like accept the fact that like, it's just better this way. It was a lot of work I had to do. So when people go, Spooky's the hardest working person in the FGC, that's true, but it's more like Spooky's one of the hardest working people in the FGC. You're not going to sit here and shit on me or Chris Cotty or Big E and a lot of people that put in mad work a whole decade before Spooky. And that's not a knock against you, Spooky. So I don't want you to take that the wrong way. I'm talking about the people who sit there and just say you are the hardest working person in the FGC, because John Choi, what's this guy's name? Alex Baye. There's so many, the people in the South that put out mad work. Yipes, other people, before there was even a Battlefield Arcadia, Desmond was literally like, and I don't like to put Desmond in a way like of a hustler in the street, but like Desmond was like Chinatown Fair's manager for the scene. Like he was a fight promoter in Chinatown. He was him and Chris, who else? It was you, Desmond, and who else? This was before Yipes. It was you, Desmond, and who else?
Mike Williams?
Syndicate.
Yeah, the Syndicate. Yeah, literally they had an organization named after it called the Syndicate. So there's a lot of people that put in a lot of work. Jet Fee from the break when he used to do the ECC 9 to be sitting here and saying that, oh, Spooky is the hardest working person in the FGC. He's one of the hardest working people in the FGC, and damn sure a pioneer of the scene. So I just want to put that out there because I want to give credit to all those who contributed to make the FGC what it is. So no, that's no shot at Spooky and Ataru as well. Because like, if
they would have. To be honest, they wouldn't take it like that anyway. Like they you know, what I mean?
It's not them.
It's just a general statement to everybody.
It's the people who want to take shit Triforce say way out of context, and I'm like, facts. I can't say shit like that. It's like everything I say, I gotta say on eggshells. I gotta be the details, because then everyone just take what I say way out of context. So big shout outs to all those guys, because like literally like Team Spooky, for a lot of people sit there like, people used to shit on Ataru. Ataru's a bum. Like he riding off Spooky's coattails. So let me put this out there for Ataru and the entire FGC for everything Spooky has done. If not for Ataru, y'all would never have gotten Spooky. Ataro was the one who put me on to Spooky, to give Spooky the first shot. Just putting that out there. Ataro put Spooky on, not the other way around. And that's no offense. Like, obviously, Spooky blew up and became big, and then he was like, yo, you put me on. That's why Ataro still does his thing, that they're boys, because that's actually good, true friendship. Those guys work with each other. They put each other on or whatever. But I just want to put that fact out there. Ataro came to me and put Spooky on. Just saying. So that was like the little silent war. Long story short, I'm just glad that everything worked out. Spooky's doing what he's doing. It's good to see a lot of these guys who was doing their shit back then grew into something, created their own companies, ran their own brands. I love the fact that you guys got No Frillz. I love the fact that you did Broken Tier Yipes. I love the fact that Justin is doing his J1 thing. I love the fact that Spooky and Henry Sen is doing NLBC. I love the fact that Valle is doing Next Level. These things need to be continued. The suits, yeah, you guys won. All right, you guys won. Fine. But you need to support the scene. You need to invest money into these guys, because these guys are your social mediaites that go out there. They're doing the job Desmond did in Chinatown on a global level with the internet. So you want the fighting game scene to be robust and have a history. Look, we're going through the whole history shit on the No podcast. So a lot of the people, when you read the comments, it's a bunch of young, new generation people that's learning the history of the scene. All of this is a part of building up the scene. Okay, so I'm glad that you guys are all doing what you guys are doing. So for me, that has always made the scene, and it just needs the suits to come in and infuse money into you guys so that you guys can keep the scene going. This needs to go international. We need stories from the UK, from all the players that we don't even know. Like, when we think UK, we think Problem X, we think, what's this guy's name? Ryan Hart. We only think like a handful of people, but I'm sure they're like mad godlike players in the UK that we don't know. When we think of like the Asias, whether it may be Korea, China, Japan, we only really know like Infiltration. I'm not even sure if he's still in the scene. Tokido, Daigo, only a handful of these guys, but I'm sure there are guys in the arcades as a godlike. And since the suits won the war, the suits need to pony up the money and start employing you guys, just like how they get you guys to do these major tournaments and stuff like that. And sponsors need to get behind you guys and find a way to get their companies to make money off of what you guys do in terms of content creation that connects directly with the community. That helps the business long-term, hurts the scenes long-term. Every sport, every traditional sports, T-sports, every T-sports in the world has some type of community function with the sport. The NBA has it, the NFL has it, blah, blah, blah. Esports doesn't necessarily have it. Esports needs it. And for those who are like, why you call it T-sports? Because esports is electronic sports and T-sports is traditional sports. So people know the difference. So that's where we're at with that. And that led up to, oh man, we covered so much on that scene. There's so much shit that's happened back then. But all of that led up to 2013. This led up to the second great fallout. Now, the second great fallout was worse than the first great fallout, but the reasons were different. And the second great fallout was like, it was in and out because players left and came back. But like the reason why the second great fallout took place that just really went bad was because, real talk, VXG. So yeah, let's get it. So what led to the second great fallout? In 2011, my mother, she was ill, and she was rapidly turning ill, or whatever the case may be. And eventually, she got cancer. She eventually died and whatnot. And I go back to 2011, even though it was really 2012, because I had contacted somebody in 2011. In 2011, I wanted to go to Jamaica. I actually wanted to go to Jamaica because in 2011, something happened and I wanted to go back to the island and give Jamaica the props for it. So in 2011, we got our first Guinness record for the team, which was the most documented tournament winnings for a gaming team, right? And I was so proud of that moment. Perfect Legend hit us up. Shout out to Perfect Legend. He gave us our actually Perfect Legend won before that, but he gave us our first Mortal Kombat win in 2011. A lot of people was like, oh, but there's an argument whether or not he was on Team Combat Network or an Empire Arcadia. But I was like, actually, he was on Empire Arcadia, but Shock from Combat Network was sponsoring it. Because Combat Network is not an esports team. It's literally says Combat Network. Like, what the fuck? Me and Shock was like, wait, what? I was like, roll with it, Shock. Don't even argue with it. I roll with it. A big shout out to Shock out in Jersey. He also ran. Yeah, he was also one of the pioneers that contributed to the scene as well, in terms of like creating tournaments for people to watch. And he worked tandem with 8-Way Run as well. So so at that time, Perfect Legend had won Mortal Kombat, and we needed that win in 2011. What else did we win in 2011? Was it just Mortal Kombat? We didn't win anything else in 2011, did we? Because I know 2010, Snake Eyes won Super Turbo for us. And I think that was the only thing we won at EVO, because we lost everything else. And 2011, I think it was just, I could be wrong, but I think it was just Perfect Legend who just won Mortal Kombat. And at that time, I said, okay, I wanted to talk, I was talking some shit, right? I was like, Perfect Legend. I was like, perfect. I want to go to Jamaica, and we got the Guinness record, and you just won Mortal Kombat, and I want to go to Jamaica, and I want to bring you with me. And he's like, I don't know, Triforce. I don't know if I necessarily want to go to Jamaica. And I said, man, you should come. So I said, let me set up first. I'll get back to you on that. And I posted that I'm going to go to Jamaica. I'm going to try to expand the empire back home, right? And out of nowhere, like a couple months later, I was like, okay, looks like I'm getting the money. I'm going to set up a tournament in Jamaica. When we get down there, we'll have the Empire's tournament back at home. We'll have a homecoming or whatever. And then I get to go, visit my mother and the whole 9 yards and so forth. And then I heard that my mother had died. So I was like, damn, that was some shit. When I got the news my mother died, I got the news when I was at E3 with Reggie Fils-Aimé, getting the Guinness record for us doing the most midnight launches for Nintendo. So literally the phone was ringing when Reggie and Walter Day was presenting me the Guinness World Record. And I had to turn off my phone. And after that, I was so happy. I was like, oh shit, I got another Guinness record. And for those who wondering, I got 10. That's when me popping my collar for a second. I went into my hotel room, and I was like, who's calling me? And I'm like, Jonathan. I'm like, what Jonathan's calling me for? I'm like, yo, Jay, what up? And he's like, Mom's dead. So I'm like, I was this high to just say, I'm like, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. She was hiding her cancer the whole time. And you know me, I was like, wait, what? How long she had cancer? Like a whole year. It just jumped from stage 1, 2, 3, 4 in like 6 months. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I was like, and nobody told me. She went to go see doctors. Well, you guys know how I feel about that. And just so we don't get into that, we'll just leave that alone. I said I could have helped. Some people are like, the fuck is Triforce mean good help? Don't worry about that. Anyway, it's my mother. So I was like, damn, man. And they was like, they're going to set stuff up, and she's in Jamaica. They got to set up to go bury her and the whole 9 yards. And I was like deflated after that. And I was so mad because I felt like I didn't even get to see her before she died. Because there was a long period of time, like I was dealing with so much shit in the empire. I didn't see my mother. I called her, but I didn't go and see her. So I didn't even get to see my mother before she died. It's just, right. Last time I saw her was like a year before, and then I get a call she's dead. I'm like, holy smokes. Yeah. Lost my wife in 2009, lost my mother in 2010. And then later on, you guys will find out I lost my father in like 2017. So I'm like, damn, it's like, Triforce is just getting rocked and I'll just be like, damn. So, and I got to do meditation to kind of be able to stand firm. Because my father always told me when I was young, son, one of these days you're going to find yourself all alone in this world. He's like, fortify yourself. And I'm like, all right, Dad. So when I lost my wife, I told myself, you're going to be alone, Triforce. Stand strong. Lost my mother. I was like, you're going to be alone. That's what made me start going back. Because remember when I started coming back to New York now to come see my father. Because I'm like, lost my wife, lost my mother. I'm going to go see my father now. And my father got misdiagnosed with, what this asshole said he got misdiagnosed with. I forgot the name for it, but in reality, he got hit with Parkinson's. So, like, I had to go to my father. I could get to visit my father, take care of him. I had to, spread his bed. I had to bathe my dad. And that's why, like, when my father died, I didn't feel as bad because I felt like something was going to happen to my dad. So I got the time with him. The only thing I didn't like was the fact that when my father got put in the hospital, no one called me. When my father got put in the hospital, because I was like, they called me at the last minute, and they called me right like after I paid rent. So I had no money to go to Jamaica. I legitimately, anybody who knows me remembers, I jumped on Facebook and told everyone, my father is in the hospital. He's going to die. Help me get back to New York. And like, I got $900 like in literally one day. I booked a ticket immediately. I couldn't book the next day, but I booked the day after he died that night. I raised the 900. And my father's sister was with him, and she told me what happened. My father was on his deathbed. They took a picture. I have the picture of my father flatlining. And I don't throw it away. I keep it. And he was like, where are my sons? Because at Matrix, I don't know if you ever seen my father when he was sick, he had the hoarse voice.
I've seen it when he was good health, when we had that meeting at, what was that called? Nightclan?
Neutral
Grounds. And he spoke.
All right. So you saw soft-winded he spoke then? Imagine like a hoarse voice of someone who's dying of like lung cancer. That's how he spoke. And he was telling my sister, his sister, where are my sons? And she was like, they're coming. Just hang on, Tony. Hang on, because my father's name is Tony. And he was like, Isaiah. He just kept calling me. And then she told me, because this is her telling me how he died. Because I came and I said, how did he die? And she told me. I said, I need the details since I missed. And then he just said, I'm thirsty. Can I get water? And she gave him water, flatline.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, hold on. Give me a sec. So, after that, I got to New York. I got into a fight with my brothers, but I was like, I'll whoop your ass afterwards. We want to go bury my father, etc. So I didn't want to. Last thing my father wants me is fighting over my brothers on some stupid shit. So I was like, I'll deal with that later. I buried my father. I made a video of it. I vlogged me burying my dad, literally, since I couldn't be there when he was dying. And I put it on my YouTube. It's just permanently stuck there. And I saluted my dad with my older brother, the one that I was supposed to whoop his ass, but it's whatever. Like my father said, he warned me, I'm going to find myself all alone. There's going to come a time when him and my mother's not there. And he's like, don't worry. He said, don't feel bad because that's how it's supposed to be. Nobody wants to see their children die before them. So he's like, he's glad he went before me. So he's like, all you will have is your brothers. So I just like, all right. So I because of that, I just forgave my brothers. They're my brothers. I guess give me like 5 years, I'll get over it. But I don't, it's not like I hate my brothers. But you know when like you have a real strong disagreement with your brothers, some shit like that, you just like,
I know.
give me a couple years. I need to get over your fuckery. And whatever. But they're still my brothers. They're still flesh and bones to me. So I buried my dad. And then, that's far in the future. Oh, crap. Go back in time. Right? So I had to go bury my mother. And Rolando calls me. He messages me on, I think it's Facebook or Twitter. And he says, hey, man, I hear you coming down to do a tournament here. I'm like,
just tell the people who Rolando is.
This is the introduction of Rolando. So okay. I was like, who's this? And he's like, Rolando Bryson, I heard you was coming down to the Caribbean to do a tournament. I was like, yeah, I'm going in Jamaica. And he goes, oh, I thought you was coming to St. Martin. And I'm like, wait, what's that? That's no offense, St. Martin. I didn't even know your country existed. I was like, what the fuck is St. Martin? And it's like, it's a small island in the Caribbean. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't know. So I was like, who are you? He's like, we have a small tournament scene here in St. Martin that they run video game competitions and stuff like that. And they want to expand it. They heard about the Empire and they wanted to get involved in like the entire competitive gaming scene. And they're trying to bring teams down here. And then he was like, I already spoke to the best esports team in the fighting game community. So I was, not to be on some Vegeta shit, I'm like, when did I speak to you? And he was like, no, I spoke to that wrestler. I spoke to Cross Counter.
Oh my God.
Said, what? I said, wait, he was like, what? He's like, yeah, these guys called Mike Ross and Gutex. Like, they have the best fighting game team. I'm like, come on, me. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I said,
Hold on.
Yeah.
That is a perfect place for us to end this week's episode. Another cliffhanger. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are going to have to tune in next week to find out the rest of the story and the next part of Chronicles of the Triforce Game Master. Guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop us likes, iTunes, Spotify, hit us up on Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. You know what I mean? Let us know suggestions, comments, questions.
Ask the man some questions. For sure. Those comments is definitely on the high rise. And Triforce do be looking at those comments too.
Yes,
so.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, so. Yeah, man.
All right. So we're going to conclude this episode. This was chapter 3 of Chronicles of the Triforce Game Master. And we will see you next week.